A book summary of the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John C. Maxwell. One of the most beautiful words in the English language is potential. It has a positive outlook on the future. It's full of optimism. In other words, it's a surefire recipe for achievement. Completeness is implied. It alludes to something magnificent. As a noun, potential is rooted in prospective outcomes. Imagine all the amazing things you could accomplish as a human being, and I guarantee you'll feel a surge of enthusiasm. That's such an upbeat idea. Your potential is as real to me as mine is to me. Is there potential in you? Absolutely. How about unused potential? As optimistic as the term potential is, so is this sentence completely negative. Speaking and writing buddy Florence Littar told the story of her father's failed attempt to become a singer in her book Silver Boxes. According to her, he was able to carry on his musical legacy even after his death. That sums up potential that hasn't been realized very well. Ultimately, failing to realize your full potential is like passing away without ever having fully expressed your musical talent. Given that you are here, I have faith in your drive to improve yourself. So the next logical question is, how do you do it? There's no question in my mind that expansion is the key. To fulfill one's potential, one must develop. Plus, development calls for a great deal of conscious effort. This book is my way of giving you the tools you need to work on yourself and improve, giving you the greatest possible shot at becoming the person God made you to be. So that you can reach your full potential, I want to encourage you to cultivate the proper mindset. Discover your greatest assets, pursue your deepest passions, get in touch with your true calling, and hone your most valuable abilities. The suggestion is to give each unit a week's worth of your time. Talk about it with your pals. Perform the chapter-ending application exercises. Document your progress in a journal. And try to work the new knowledge into your regular routine. If you want to alter your life, you must first alter a routine action. You can unlock your full potential by studying and obeying the rules. You will be amazed at how far you can go if you commit to daily learning and growth over the course of many years. 1. The law of intentionality. Growth doesn't just happen. Do you have a strategy for developing yourself? The individual who posed the question to me, Kurt Kampmeyer, waited patiently for me to respond. An answer to such question would alter the course of my existence forever. I blanked as I tried to come up with a response. My achievements from the past 3 years are detailed in the attached list. The amount of effort I put in was discussed. I wrote out what I want to accomplish. I shared the strategies I had used to broaden my audience. My responses focused entirely on doing rather than getting better. I was forced to come clean about it. To improve myself was not a goal of mine. It was an idea I had never entertained before, but it pointed out a serious weakness in the way I saw work and achievement. I set out on my professional path with the objective of working hard, accomplishing my goals, and becoming successful. Working hard was my plan. I had anticipated that would lead me to my desired destination. However, effort alone is not enough to ensure success. Moreover, expecting the best is not a viable plan of action. How can you improve your performance? How can you make your connections stronger? How can you develop your character and mature into a more wise and compassionate person? Where do you look for wisdom? How do you push past difficulties? Do more of what? Greater exertion? Will things improve soon enough to warrant your patience? Growth gap traps. The only way to realize your hopes, dreams, and ambitions is to develop yourself. However, if you are like me, and most people, you hold one or more false beliefs that serve as a barrier to your development and prevent you from realizing your full potential. Here are 8 common misunderstandings regarding development that could be preventing you from being as deliberate as you should be. Here are 8 common misunderstandings regarding development that could be preventing you from being as deliberate as you should be. 1. The assumption gap. I assume that I will automatically grow. 2. The knowledge gap. I don't know how to grow. 3. The timing gap. It's not the right time to begin. 4. The mistake gap. I'm afraid of making mistakes. 5. The perfection gap. I have to find the best way before I start. 6. The inspiration gap, I don't feel like doing it. 7. The comparison gap, others are better than I am. 8. The expectation gap, I thought it would be easier than this. I can't think of a single successful person who believes advancement is simple and rapid. Simply put, that never occurs. All good fortune is of one's own making. How? Specifically, it goes like this. Preparation, growth, plus attitude plus opportunity plus action, doing something about it, equals luck. Preparation is the first step in any endeavor. That's a slow process, unfortunately. Now for the best part, though. You can't alter your final destination in a single day, but Jim Rohn once said that you can alter your course in the same amount of time. Be purposeful in your pursuit of self-improvement if you really want to reach your full potential and accomplish all that you set out to do. This experience will alter the course of your life forever. Making the transition to intentional growth. 1. Ask the big question now. 2. Do it now. 3. Face the fear factor. 4. Change from accidental to intentional growth. 2. The law of awareness. You must know yourself to grow yourself. It was in 2004 that Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore featured in the comedy 50 First Dates. A man falls in love with a young woman, only to find out that she has forgotten all about him by the following morning. She has no recollection of her life since the vehicle accident she was in a year ago. She will never be able to go back to the life she had before the disaster. The movie was endearing despite its rather implausible premise. But suppose it turned out to be true and something similar did occur. No memory. One such well-known neuropsychology instance has been investigated by thousands of doctors and researchers since it was first reported in 1957. The name of the patient is Henry M. He was born in Connecticut in 1926, and his epilepsy was so bad that he never left bed. At the age of 27, he was the subject of an experimental surgery in which portions of his brain were removed in an effort to alleviate his epilepsy. The good news was that following surgery, his chronic, incapacitating seizures had stopped. His IQ, character, and capacity for social interaction are all unaffected as well. There was, however, a truly terrible downside. It seemed as though he had lost the ability to form new memories quickly. After the operation, Henry M. had no recollection of the events. The doctors were strangers to him. No matter what he did, he just couldn't locate the restroom. When he got home, he'd complete the same jigsaw puzzles and read the same magazines over and over again, but he wouldn't remember doing any of it. When he was young, his family moved to a new house, but he never remembered the relocation and never learned how to get there, even though he had a clear memory of the old house. 30 minutes after lunch, he was asked about his meal, and he had no idea what he had eaten. Really, he was unable to recall ever having eaten. 1. The passage of time had frozen him in place, rendering him incapable of self-improvement. Oh, what a terrible tragedy. A lot of people are like Henry M. if they desire to develop but don't know who they are. In order to develop, you must be familiar with your inner landscape, your passions, your skills, and your areas of strength. You need a sense of both your past and present circumstances. You can't go where you want to go unless you first determine where that is. Moreover, in order to maintain expanding your knowledge, you must always be able to incorporate the latest information into your existing body of knowledge. There's no other way to make progress and stand out from the crowd. Knowing both your current location and your desired destination is essential for realizing your full potential. You might get lost if you don't have both of those things. Acquiring an awareness of one's own identity is akin to discovering the words you will hear printed on a map. To my knowledge, there are just 3 types of people when it comes to making a plan for their future. 1. People who don't know what they would like to do. 2. People who know what they would like to do but don't do it. 3. People who know what they would like to do and do it. It can feel like a catch-22 when trying to discover who you are and how you can best develop yourself. To reach your full potential, you must first accept yourself. Still, maturing into your own unique self takes time. But then, what ought to be done? Investigate your identity while you investigate your potential for development. Start by focusing on what you're truly interested in. My journey began when I decided to develop skills that would aid me in my chosen profession as a priest. Relationships, empowerment, perspective, and leadership all sum up to the acronym REAL. Achieving success in what I was truly interested in was the driving force behind my development. My maturation, however, has allowed me to pursue my true calling. I have found that I enjoy, and are capable of, taking on leadership roles. For almost 40 years, that topic has been central to my own development. Faith, family, communication, and creativity are some additional areas where one's passion and purpose become apparent. Each of these fields is one in which I feel most comfortable expanding my knowledge and skills. 1. Do you like what you're doing now? 2. What would you like to do? 3. Can you do what you would like to do? 4. Do you know why you want to do what you would like to do? 5. Do you know what to do so you can do what you want to do? 6. Do you know people who do what you'd like to do? 7. Should you do what you'd like to do with the? 8. Will you pay the price to do what you want to do? 9. When can you start doing what you'd like to do? 10. What will it be like when you get to do what you'd like to do? 3. The law of the mirror. You must see value in yourself to add value to yourself. Sometimes I try to figure out what it is that prevents other individuals from achieving their goals. I believe all people have the seeds of success within them. They just need to give the seeds some attention, care, and nourishment, and they'll sprout. That is why I have spent my life trying to provide value to people. I love to see people blossom. Consequently, why do so many people fail to develop and mature into their full potential? I think a major factor is a lack of confidence in oneself. Many people lack confidence in their own abilities. They don't perceive the possibilities that God implanted in them. They have 100 acres of potential but never develop it because they think they are incapable of learning, expanding, and blossoming. Eliminated potential. That's how the narrative of Jonetta McSwain, about whom I only recently discovered, unfolded. Over the course of her life, she had a self-esteem problem that prevented her from seeing her own potential for over 30 years. But there were many valid explanations for her low self-esteem. Her single mother didn't want her and made that clear to her soon after she was born. She and Sonia, her older sister by a year, and their cousin were reared by their grandmother in Birmingham, Alabama, while they were little. However, the three youngsters were also subjected to psychological, physical, and sexual abuse at the hands of their uncles. Jonetta has both physical and emotional scars. Jonetta recalls, "I had already begun to believe that by the time I was 5 years old, I was not only inferior but also a kid abandoned by her own mom. I felt like a complete nothing when I was a kid." The abuse was discovered by Jonetta and Sonia's mother, who took her daughters and relocated them. The men her mother brought into the house maintained the pattern of violence. Sonia's final response was to abandon her family and start using crack cocaine. Jonetta never used drugs, but she did spend a lot of time on the streets and quit school when she was a senior. She was just 19 when she gave birth to her first child, and she was far into her 20s when she delivered her second child outside of marriage. She was mostly dependent on government housing and benefits, with occasional help from her partners. She stole from stores to afford to maintain wearing high-end labels. Sonia sums up their situation beautifully. "Everybody in my family has been in jail, on drugs, and hasn't graduated from high school, so what I got to live for? What have I come to? Nothing. Can you tell me what it is that I must do? Nothing." Examining oneself. Because it was her 30th birthday, Jonetta took a good long look at herself. She was unimpressed by what she saw. According to what she has written, "One morning I woke up and realized I had nothing to be happy about. I was broke, had no steady income, no place to call home, no husband, and no idea what I was doing with my life. Want to improve, if only for a moment. Eventually, I realized that it was imperative for me to make some adjustments." She was unhappy with her life and knew that if she kept continuing in the same route, her 2 sons would be doomed to the same fate. there was not a single guy in her family who had completed high school, as far as she was aware. Too many people lost their lives too soon or wound up in prison. That was something she hoped to spare her sons. As a first step, Johnetta is pursuing her general equivalency diploma. After studying for 12 weeks, she finally took the exam. To pass, she needed 45 points. She got a 44.5 overall. But she was so focused on her future that she immediately planned a retake. She was honored to be asked to deliver the commencement address after she graduated. No one in her family cared enough to show up. Johnetta realized that she needed to leave Birmingham in order to make a clean start. Plus, she yearned to follow a path that no one in her family had ever trod, a university education. She had a significant realization that propelled her relocation to Atlanta. I get a chance to be anybody I want to be. After almost 3 years of planning and preparation, she finally made the switch. She enrolled at Kennesaw State University not long after and decided to double her course load each semester. When she finally decided to go back to school, she was almost 33. She was savvy on the streets but initially lacked academic prowess. That initially struck her as threatening. But now, more than ever before, she was resolved to improve herself. And she quickly came to believe in her own ability to succeed. Johnetta says, I understood I didn't have to be smart. All I had to do was be focused, dedicated, and motivated. For me, this has a very high opportunity cost. My mind had to be changed. I had to use my brains and come up with solutions. She not only worked diligently and stayed focused, but she also made it a point to find the most intellectual student in each of her classes and ask if they could study together. It wasn't long until she was able to study and think like the brightest minds in her class. She also never gave up on the future she had envisioned. Every semester she would visit the school bookstore, where she would try on a graduation cap and gown while picturing what it would be like to walk over that stage. During a conversation with a fellow student, she suddenly had an epiphany. The student was quoted as stating, I don't love myself. I'm a total zero. Johnetta retorted, I can love me if I love you, therefore you may love you. And maybe for the first time, it dawned on her at that moment. True self-love sprang upon me and I proclaimed it. Clearly, she had undergone a metamorphosis. It was becoming clear that she was maturing into the person she had always imagined herself to be. In just 3 years, Johnetta was able to earn her bachelor's degree. Then she went on to acquire a master's degree in social work after enrolling in graduate school. She is currently enrolled in graduate school and aims to acquire her PhD. Johnetta says, I did something that people said you couldn't accomplish. Yes, of course I can. Steps to build your self-image. Having a positive view of myself has never been an issue for me. I had a wonderful upbringing that instilled in me a firm belief in my own abilities. Many of my coworkers, though, didn't. Some of them have turned a corner and come to believe in themselves the way I do. If it describes your predicament, then I certainly hope I may be of assistance. Please keep in mind the 10 tips that follow as a starting point. 1. Guard your self-talk. 2. Stop comparing yourself to others. 3. Move beyond your limiting beliefs. 4. Add value to others. 5. Do the right thing, even if it's the hard thing. 6. Practice a small discipline daily in a specific area of your life. 7. Celebrate small victories. 8. Embrace a positive vision for your life based on what you value. 9. Practice the one-word strategy. 10. Take responsibility for your life. Applying the law of the mirror to your life. Using the reflection principle to improve your life. First, take some time to reflect on and write down all of the positive aspects of your character. You'll find this really simple if you have a healthy respect for yourself. Without these, you might have a hard time. Stay strong. Spend as much time as necessary, days/weeks, compiling the list. Keep going until you've listed 100 reasons why you're awesome. If you spend a lot of time compiling this list, you should take a few minutes each day to read it and reflect on its contents. Keep in mind that it is extremely challenging to improve one's own value if one does not already place a high value on themselves. Choose the one word that sums up who you are most accurately by using the list as a guide. Take this term as your compass as you set out to improve yourself. The internal dialogue that people have with themselves on a regular basis is a major contributor to their sense of self-worth. To what extent do you hear your own inner dialogue? Use an app on your phone or keep an index card on you to keep track of how many times a day this week you have a self-affirming or deprecating thought. You might also solicit the opinion of trusted loved ones as to whether you tend to view yourself favorably or unfavorably. Third, if you want to feel important, be important to others. How much of your time each day and week do you spend thinking about other people and trying to help them? Join a group to help those in need? Do you act as a mentor to others around you? Do you help others who are in worse situations than you are? If you aren't already, make it a weekly habit to do something for the benefit of others. Engage in an activity that makes use of your skills, helps other people, and boosts your self-esteem. Make a minimal effort to begin with. Do more of what you're already doing if you're already serving. As a general rule, you should devote 10% of your time to helping others and making their lives better. In other words, if you work 40 hours a week, you should spend 4 of those hours helping others.